Welcome to What a Time to Be Alive, the only podcast counting down everything this week that made you say, what a time to be alive. And now, Patrick Monahan, Kath Barbadoro, and Eli Uden.
Folks, welcome to What a Time to Be Alive, the only podcast that counts down things that usually makes you a thing. That's how the podcast. I'm Patrick Monahan.
Boo!
No!
Boo! Fucked
Get him
it
out
up.
of here!
I'm Kath Barbadoro.
God, okay. Well, it doesn't matter now. With no Eli, he left when I started saying it like that. He
Stormed out.
But fortunately, we managed to secure a guest in the 4 seconds that took, weirdly. No, Eli actually, somebody came up the beanstalk and took him out. It was a real,
He really, they caught him off guard. Usually he's very, ready to defend the beanstalk, the top of the beanstalk, because he knows that's how someone's going to get him. But finally,
they were ready
for
him. All he could say was fee fi fo. He couldn't even get fum out before they took him down. So
he was all excited he was going to get to make some bread, but no.
He's in Giant Hospital, but he'll be out soon. He's in hospital for Giants. But we do have a very special guest today. One of the hosts of one of my favorite podcasts, Podcast The Ride. It's Jason Sheridan.
Hi.
Ride it, my pony.
Well, thank you for playing my anthem. I really appreciate you having that ready to go.
Yeah, wow, that was really great. What's up? How's things? How's the I don't know. I'm just rambling now. I'm just trying
wow, you're really getting off to a great start at this podcast today.
I'm in shambles after that open, so it's been hard.
You ready? Y'all ready for this?
We're staying in the Sheridan Suites today, racking up Marriott Bonvoy points. Son.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Shelby's got one of these guys on retainer, apparently.
This is great. So I listen every week. This is one of my favorite podcasts. So it's so thrilling to hear these sound alerts live.
Yeah.
I am very sorry. I am the one who took out Eli. You've replaced the tallest podcaster with the shortest podcaster imaginable. So it's kind of fitting.
I wasn't going to dime you out, but yeah, that was my suspicion.
Sorry.
Look, you got to get ahead. Do what you can to get ahead in this game. If you weren't a very successful sitcom star that wants to talk about the sitcom you were on, there's very few other ways to get ahead in podcasting. So
that's true.
Sure.
Sometimes you got to climb up that beanstalk and take somebody out.
How else are you going to get a $100 million deal from one of the big networks? Which we're in line.
That's how much it costs to produce a podcast.
People don't know. People don't know how expensive it is.
This is the only way they can sell HelloFresh. So, that's where the money comes from. It comes from the meal prep places.
Comes from big direct-to-consumer mattress. That's who's funding all of this shit. They're behind it all.
Yeah.
We need a new Big Short just for surrounding those companies and podcasting. But I realized something. We should have held the story till this week. Because it could not have been better calibrated.
I know what you're going to say. The Club 33 sickos.
Yeah.
So
I was listening last week, and I was like, oh, thank God they're getting this out of the way.
Okay. I wanted to see, because I know you read the dirt sheets. You know what's going on in the theme park world.
I do. I saw that story very quickly, and it's just a couple of super rich maniacs,
Yeah.
It costs so much money to join Club 33, and there's
it's tens of thousands of dollars a year. It's crazy.
A year. And there's an initiation fee, then there's an annual fee. There are stories of I forget what it is. I think it's that Scarlett Johansson and Colin Jost had a membership at the Disneyland Club 33, and they tried to use it at the Florida Club 33s, and they would not let them. Despite being very famous and one of them being an Avenger.
Yeah, literally, like making millions of dollars for that very company.
I'm one of
I
the
respect that.
people from one of like the 5 things when you start Disney Plus. One of like the headings. That is.
But
I mean,
do you want to give a brief explanation of why you know about Disney? Tell the listeners what your podcast is about.
Oh, sure. It's a podcast called Podcast The Ride, and it's a comedy podcast hosted by 3 men, what used to be 3 childless men in their 30s, and then hosts started having children, and we started hitting 40. So now I believe we say hosted by 3 men of varying levels of childishness. We're still working on it. Anyway, so it's examining like the themed entertainment industry, theme parks.
My pony.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Shelby. And themed restaurants, and all our pet obsessions, like Jay Leno's acting career and John Taffer's various endeavors, like Bar Rescue. So, like any podcast, it eventually branches out to the host's various obsessions.
Sure. Yeah. And eccentricities and all that. But yeah, so Club 33 that's your bread and butter, is talking about these
Frank Marshall. I was trying to remember his name. Obviously,
Marshall.
the big topics on the show.
Is Frank Marshall? He's not the movie producer that does the big ensemble movies, right?
That's Gary Marshall.
Gary Marshall.
No, Frank Marshall is a big movie producer, but for our interests, he was the late Jimmy Buffett's best friend.
Okay.
And he's married to Kathleen Kennedy. So, like, their names are all over the biggest blockbusters. But, yeah, so the Club 33 one, I have been to Club 33 once. We were guests of a member who put on, there was this exhibit called That's from Disneyland, and he was selling off a lot of his collection. And it was in an abandoned Sports Authority. And it was like half museum, half gallery and auction space, and then they had a performance space, and we did a live show there. Nice. After that, he took a few weeks later, he took us and Paul Scheer, who had also done a show, to Club 33, and we got to go to the Jazz Lounge, which is just the bar where you can order a la carte, but you can only dine there if you're with a member. Nice. So the 2 people who got suspended from Club 33, I mean, they had full rate, and they treat those people pretty well. You know, they have like black card passes. They can get in any day of the year. They get a bunch of fast passes, Genie Plus, whatever they're calling it at the moment. And so that they were so belligerent and drunk they got kicked out is absurd.
Yeah,
right.
That's
like
interesting because like I wasn't sure whether like if it was the type of thing where like I pay so much money I get to do whatever I want, or if it was Disney style fascism where they have like really crazy super curated rules and stuff. But it sounds like no, these were VIPs and you have to like basically assault someone to get them to not take your money. It sounds like.
Yeah, so it must have gotten pretty bad to get to that point. And then also, they must be rich, and that then they started all these legal battles, and it's like, well, money just doesn't mean anything to you, I guess.
Well, we
uncovered that they own a golf course in Arizona, so they're doing fine.
Yeah.
They're also like, between owning a golf course in Arizona, of all places, and flying back and forth to Disneyland like every weekend, these people are like, they have raised the planet's temperature 0.5 degree, I think, just them, their endeavors alone. And they're the reason we're going to have no water. So that's cool. I'm glad they're asserting their rights.
Is it better or worse to run a golf course in Arizona or like a fracking company? It's like, I don't know which is,
debatable.
But the thing that I don't think I saw this, because there's been some more coverage since we did this. I guess they had an interview with them in Hollywood Reporter, which is very funny.
Hell yeah.
It came out this week, but apparently in the initial trial, because they just lost their appeal, was the news that we were covering. The jury deliberated for 45 minutes. So I don't think they came across great, or it was just such a clear, and it didn't seem like it was that clear on the facts, but apparently they did not, the jury was not going for it. Or, the closing arguments, they were just like, remember all the wonderful memories from Disney? Are you sure you want to punish this wonderful company? Who knows what it might have been. But in any event, it does seem like it's weird that I know there's a wait list and everything like that, but I thought the whole thing with this, didn't it used to be like actually like kind of like a secret thing that like only you couldn't like pay to join, right? Is that right, Jason?
Well, I think when it was first started, Walt Disney quickly realized he's like, oh, if I'm going to entertain heads of state and like the CEO of Chevron, I need to take them someplace and feed them like not chicken of the sea tuna sandwiches.
Right. They're not going to be impressed by Dole Whips or whatever. They need more than that.
Yeah, and they probably wanted a liquid lunch. So for the longest time, it was the only place within Disneyland proper to get alcohol.
That's true.
That has changed after a long, hard-fought battle.
We did it. You can get hammered walking around and frighten children.
Patty, no, you can't walk around with it. The compromise was it's only at sit-down restaurants in Disneyland.
You can get hammered and then walk around. Excuse me.
Yes, or you can just go across. That's right. You can go across the walkway to California Adventure and walk around and drink till your heart's desire.
Okay. Yeah, that's because I haven't been to a Disney property since I was a kid. Since the extraterrestrial encounter was like the hot new ride. It was the last time. I went.
Favorite.
So that's a long time ago. But I thought the only place you could do it was like, what was it, Pleasure Island or whatever? The whatever they called Parents Island in the Simpsons episode, like the sort of place for grown-ups.
That's the Disney version of International Waters. You can do whatever you want there.
And
they have dog fighting. Everyone's topless. It's wild.
Pleasure Island. Epcot's always had like they call it drinking around the world. Like you start in Mexico or Canada and just get a drink at every country's pavilion. So Epcot's had it, and I think Hollywood Studios usually had it. But yeah, Pleasure Island was the place to go. Mike Carlson, my co-host, is in some Pleasure Island remembrance Facebook groups because it closed in 2009, and they redid it all, and then they redid it all like 10 years ago again. But there's so many posts that are just like, man. Tonight, beautiful night in Orlando. Be a great night to be at Pleasure Island. It's just old photos of the nightclubs and bars, and people have very fond memories. Couples met, people party, turned 21.
It's it feels very hard to extricate like that from the idea of like people swinging. I don't know in my mind.
Yeah, it feels sort of Parrot Head adjacent. For sure.
But I know it wasn't just that, but it is. Yeah. I mean, wow. The last logo of Pleasure Island was like some real, like early 2000s shit, like 2002 ass. Because I remember like the original kind of like, it looked like Treasure Island, obviously.
It was like tiki-ish from what I remember. I also have not been since I think I was 10. So Jesus.
I want to go.
26 years ago?
I don't even know if I was I think I was in 6th grade the last time I went. Because I remember I was like, because we started taking foreign languages in 7th grade. And I was like, oh, I'm taking Spanish. I better start paying attention to these Spanish language announcements on the monorail to kind of get ahead of things.
That's cute.
Yeah,
cute.
I can still do it. Por favor, mantenga al lado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. So that's a memory that I apparently still have in there. So
you should post that in the Pleasure Island Remembrance Facebook group.
I was never there, and then I get shouted down out of the
booted
group.
out of the group instantly. This is not about Pleasure Island.
We do have some old. I got some VHSs that my parents have. Digitized as like a Christmas gift at one point, and just to have like they're all in like my photos library, which is fun. But there are some of like one of the Disney brunches, and my sister, who was like had to be like 4 or 5 at that point, like yelling for Donald from the table. I remember that's like And then like when he came over doing like the like getting frightened and kind of crying like thing. So it's just kind of classic kid, like, you know, okay, I'm coming over, and it's like, it's like,
oh,
all right, well,
no,
what did
this
you
is
want?
not what I wanted. That's my parents' like story about bringing me to Disneyland, and or Disney World. I've never been to Disneyland. Is I was this should probably come as no surprise to our listeners, given how fucking neurotic I am. I was a very fearful child. I was really afraid of pretty much everything, and they brought me to Disney, and I was too scared to go on any ride. But all I wanted to do was meet Mickey, and there was like the breakfast where you like meet, and so they just had to go meet Mickey like 8 times, and they were like,
"No,
we hate this. We're never bringing her back here. This sucks."
God,
yeah, it was real miserable.
Did you at least get the autograph book? Did you get the autographs?
I got the autograph like 4 times because there was nothing else I would do. I would just go like meet. It was like Mickey's dressing room or something, which is like, that sets a seedy precedent that it's like, we're bringing people back to Mickey's dressing room.
Yeah.
For,
sorry, you caught me in my bathrobe. You know, just kind of like, why is this like this?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think I did like the flying Dumbos, but everything else was too scary. So
yeah,
a truly miserable time for my parents.
We have, all 3 of us have similar stories like that. Like, I think I was taken the first time when I was 3, and I was terrified of the rides, so they brought me a tiny little flashlight at the gift shop, and I was like, okay, if I shine it at my feet, I can handle Pirates of the Caribbean.
Aww.
But the other keystone that unlocked everything was, like, I was terrified of everything. I was, like, death gripping my parents' hand. And then Chip and Dale came out of a side door, and I like threw the hand away and ran over and just hugged them.
Aww.
So, and that's how they unlocked it, you know?
There you go. Chip and Dale, you know, they really played an outsized role, I feel like, especially like, you know, Rescue Rangers era. It was very like, you know, that was very masterful sort of repurposing of kind of minor characters.
Yeah.
Them cool.
The other thing I'll stick with my original opinion that I had at Disney as a child. Apparently I was terrified on It's a Small World After All, which I stick by. That's creepy. Those little puppet animatronic guys are scary. I would not like that now either. So I'm sticking by that one.
That's fair. We just recorded an episode about Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen.
I've been there.
Yeah, there is a ride called the Flying Trunk, which is just like a bunch of Hans Christian Andersen stories, like condensed and everything. And people were comparing it, and our guest was comparing. It's like kind of Small World and kind of also Haunted Mansion. So it's a very strange vibe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That place you can definitely drink in, because I got hammered and then went on a very upside down ride, and that was an extremely intense experience.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's good stuff.
I believe that is one of the very few parks that has a roller coaster with a guy operating handbrake in the middle of the cars. Like, he's riding it all day long.
That's a very like physical job. That's like
yeah.
some athleticism.
Yeah, it's also a part there. We're talking about a few old European parks that like were established as public parks in like the 1800s, one in the 1500s. And like there are, of course, you look and it's like, now hold on a minute. What happened in World War II? Oh, the Nazis blew up some of this park. They had to rebuild some of it.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm glad they did that. It would be worse if the Nazis were enjoying the rides, and then after the Nazis left, it was like, well, I'm following in their footsteps here. I would not like that.
We're under strict orders to no harm comes to this park. It's directly from the Fuhrer. He's a huge fan.
He's a theme park fan.
Yeah.
Should we get to our numbers?
Let's do it.
DJ Jason bringing the laughs and hopefully a sizable chunk of his listeners.
Amazing.
I'll do my best, Shelby. I'll do my best.
just demanding you plug it. We're holding you hostage until you post a tweet about your appearance.
Yeah.
Our first story this week comes from 2018 Toyota Prius in the Discord. This is interesting. Do either of you guys do Strava?
I do not.
Strava, the running thing?
Not a big runner.
No, I'm not either. Absolutely not.
I think it's biking too, right?
It is biking. I have not used it for either thing, but yeah, it's
the main thing I know about it is that Barry Bonds had like a public profile on it for a while, which I thought was kind of it was supposed to be like weirdly charming that he was just kind of out there doing that.
It's strange to me that like I understand. Well, we're going to talk about sort of its like social network aspect in this story, but it's odd to me because I'm assuming you would be able to figure out where people live if they have this public, right?
It does
because usually you're leaving from your house to do these things.
There is that was what I was going to say about Bonds, but I was like, but there is like assassination risk, I guess is what I would say with all this kind of stuff. It is a little weird.
I want to know what the like agenda of Barry Bonds' assassin is. Like, what are you?
I don't know.
Do you not like steroids or something?
Some like sports columnist from 30 years ago who's like really pissed off. Some guy who writes for the Post or whatever the San Francisco equivalent is.
Yeah. But yeah, I so like that is odd to me, but it is like people do share. I'm sure it's like Facebook where you can share with people or whatever about how much
people
you're running
share.
or biking.
I mean, it's like how Venmo's still social. It's like, who is that? That it seems to
psycho.
only like destroy people, like catching them in illicit stuff, whether it's illegal or like cheating on their wife or something, or like destroy political careers. There's no upside to that, and it's still on by default that it's all public. I think, which is crazy.
I mean, it's if you want to like
remind you to check your settings and turn it on to everything private. There's no upside to having it public.
Yeah, I set mine to private years ago, and it's still like this should default to private, and then you should switch it to public. But I guess that's not how things work.
That's especially not how things were back when it first came out, I feel like, too. Like, everything was much more public-focused, I feel
To me, it's like, what were they thinking, though? Were they like, find out when your friends have hung out without you? Check and see who's Venmoing for burgers or whatever. Oh, cool.
How much is your friend's rent that they're paying?
Right.
I did. Someone mentioned once, like I've figured out people when people were dating casually because they just keep vending with they're not at the point of like, oh, I'll just cover this and you can get the next one.
Yeah, it's a great place to find out gossip like that. It is. Yeah. I still look at the feed sometimes just to see who the suckers are who haven't figured out that it's all public.
Yeah. And it's also like it's Venmo's been around for so long that like I just did a like call of like people that are my friends on there who like back when you used to add everyone as friends when you were like paying them for one thing, they're like somebody you know through
it's like everyone
else.
I've ever done a comedy show with is my friend.
Right. So I deleted, but there are people who are like very strange to see like, oh, guess they're still presumably they're still out there living. It makes sense that they're completely outside of my field of vision and have been for 10 years, but I'm
looking through my now and it's like so many people I've done comedy with paying other people for comedy shows. That's like most of it. Good stuff. Anyway, this story is about Strava, and people are definitely looking at their feeds to see how their friends are running and everything. And because of this, there's an emerging trend of people paying Strava mules to go run for them.
What?
So that
The guy was running!
Yeah. So you can pay someone to like run for you. And I think it's all like, I don't know. It's hard to tell if people are actually running because it's like GPS, right? So unless they're like coming to your house to run, I'm not sure if that's like actually happening.
Driving a car at a human running pace. Like otherwise it would be, wow, this guy's fast and for a long time. Holy cat,
Yeah, so this is what it says here, and like I don't understand this, but maybe someone will. Quote, an activity is a GPX file. It's in essence, it's an XML file, which is basically a text representation of an Excel table with headers. Your Garmin watch, every 1 or 2 seconds, it's adding a line into this table, a timestamp, the GPS coordinates, and any other relevant data from that time. It's easy to develop a program where you can import the GPX of an activity and shift backward the time stamp by, say, 6 hours. Then a ride from 9 a.m. to noon could become a ride from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. So I don't know if like someone's doing this when they get around to it and then they're like moving it into your like it's unclear, but apparently people are paying for this. So and I guess they are using like local people. So you like people will do this in various areas. And they're charging, this is a British article, £2.50 for a 5-kilometer run or £16 for a cyclist to do a 100-mile ride. So not that much money.
No. And it's for what? Like keeping up a streak or like just so people can see that you're working out? Like what?
You can sort of like you can like congratulate other people on
So it's for faves. This is just faves.
This is Fave Star. This is the return of Fave Star.
Oh man, I forgot about Facebook.
This is one of those.
Wow, that just unlocked a memory for me.
This is one of those.
Thanks for the cup. Just every again and again. Thanks for the cup.
They're in those like what were they like Kick, like which is now like I think like a pedophile only sort of chat situation, or at least that's the only time I see in the news. To be fair, but
sure.
it was like people had like group DMs in there, I guess, and were like boosting each other's stuff. That's what I have heard after the fact.
Right. I remember that was, like
2014.
No offense, because I know some people who are into that, but you have a sickness if you cared about that. I'm sorry. There's something wrong with you.
This is how people
artificially obtaining cups.
You got to get those cups. This is how you build your fave cred, and this is how you get, you get a job writing for Seth Meyers. The one time that's ever happened, and somebody who actually is good and has stuck as a writer for like also a decade, like very
the one time it panned out.
That would be me also, a person who can't hold down any form of sort of employment or has no sort of follow through on anything. But if you just let me in, I will definitely show up every day ready to go.
On time.
That was definitely a thing in Los Angeles about 10 years ago. Everyone was practicing their joke writing because every few months you would hear someone would get hired to write for something. And looking back, I think all in all, less than a dozen people probably got hired off of social media joke writing.
Yeah.
And probably like 3 of them lasted, I would say. I don't know, maybe there are more.
Yeah,
now,
well, because you it's like, okay, yeah, fine. These are great posts. Do this packet, which, aside from like the politics and stuff about packets, but it's like, here's a bunch of stuff to write. And it's like, oh, I don't do any of this. What do you mean? Like, I just riff on the news of the day or do line break jokes. Like, what do you mean I have to do like a whole thing that is focused and in someone else's voice?
I was just thinking yesterday about how it feels so foreign now that like the way you used to get offered jobs was that someone powerful would attend comedy shows and see if anyone was good. Like, what a world. That hasn't happened in like 8 years probably.
Yeah.
I don't think people do that anymore. They just look at like the internet clips. It's very odd to me. I guess some parts of the industry still work that way.
Well, if you read like all these like Hollywood, like the legendary comedy people from like the 60s, oh yeah, he like wrote a letter to somebody, right, and then like became his, and, like that had 3 jokes in it, and then got hired, and then became a, and obviously had an incredible amount of talent and stuff. But this idea that there was like a way to get in is just
Yeah, I don't know if you can like be discovered anymore. It's like everyone has to have already discovered you, and then someone decides whether that's actually worth anything, and then you maybe get a job. But
I mean, I have seen some stand-up clips lately, but they mostly tell me about all the ways Rocket Money will save me lots of money.
Yeah.
All the subscriptions I have, they're like kids I didn't know I had.
It's crazy. $800? So can I hold 20? Yeah, really funny stuff. Great stuff.
Anyway, Strava. So I guess like one of the reasons people are doing this is because you can have groups on there. So you'll be in like a run club, and like you'll probably, if you don't run, I'd imagine you eventually get culled from the run club. You know,
they kill you.
People want to stay. They kill you. Yeah,
they
run to your house.
It's like it's like the lottery. They stone you.
Yeah.
They put the compression socks over your head so you can't eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is like, I guess it makes sense. Like if you scratch the surface of any sort of social thing, you know, there's that kind of pressure, and there's somebody who's probably doing something desperate to keep up with everybody else or whatever, I guess, right?
I mean, I get it to some extent. Like I very often will post pictures from the gym, and it's so people will be like, good job. Like that is like motivating, but it's like, it's the real goal is to be in shape. The real goal is not the people saying good job. So like
you're not like going to the gym and like bringing 10 outfits and stockpiling photos, like going in and changing after each and then like
grind never stops,
changing the metadata on the photos, so knowing just in case. And then so the different dates, and then just this will take care of me for the next like 3 months. You know, my gym
to
post.
post at 6 a.m. so people think I'm really on the grind.
I'm on my Wahlberg shit. I got up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, I won't stop until people are accusing me of being on gear. That's what I want. I want to be accused of taking steroids.
You're
I'm
on
not
the
stop until
Kath is on the gas.
I'm on the gas. That's what I want.
Do you think there's like people hiring mules to do the Wahlberg praying app?
Oh,
like I want to keep my social clout up in the pray app.
Yeah, I need those holy points or whatever it is.
I like the idea that praying isn't something that you can just say you did. Like there has to be some way that it's.
You have to take a picture of yourself in the classic precious moments pose.
It uses your Apple Watch to detect like some kind of heart rhythm that it only happens when you're praying sufficiently.
When the spirit enters you and it alters your heart rhythm, and then it uploads it to the praying app.
That app is called Hallow. I needed to remember, and the CEO of the company is called Alex Jones. And you know how many times they probably have to be like, not that Alex Jones, not that Alex
one.
Jones.
That's rough.
At that point, you just got to go by Alexander, man. You can't. I mean,
or you need a middle initial at the very least.
Maybe it's like an SEO thing where it's like, well, maybe we'll bring some people to the app and they'll just decide they're going to pray instead of, I don't know, gang stalking one of the lizards who's running the world or something, you know.
This is outrageous criminal activity.
There you go. Exactly.
I think I was talking about last time, I've been listening to this podcast where they interview like porn performers, and there's a porn guy named Alex Jones too. And I'm like, you can't do that.
That's just the same guy.
No one is going to. That's the same guy as the praying app. Yeah.
Oh no, I meant as the InfoWars guy.
It's all one guy, and he's very busy.
he's got his fingers in a lot of different pots, so to speak. And anyway, Strava, there's one thing you can do on it that people do called Everesting, where you do a number of like runs or bikes where we're cumulatively you climb the elevation of Everest. So that's like one thing that people do that's like a big accomplishment. It's like you've done runs that are the equivalent of almost 9,000 meters in elevation, and you get clout for that. So like they're getting people to just run up hills for them, I guess. Which is
okay. All
right. Congrats.
The funny thing is, I would imagine if you get caught doing this, do they do something? Like, can they kick you off the app? Like, what is the...
It is a violation of the terms of service. You are not allowed to do this. So they do have grounds to kick you off the app. I think it's more of a subscription thing. It's like you can't share this because you pay money to it. I think that's probably the reason they invented that. But
because otherwise, what do they care?
Technically right. Yeah. So good luck to these people.
Good luck in general, you know, whatever helps you feel.
Yeah, because if you're doing this, you need luck.
Yes, I did think of Kate Bush as well. He said he's paying Kate Bush to do this.
To run up that hill. Absolutely.
Folks, if you like this episode, check out our bonus episodes, patreon.com/whatatimepod. We do one every week. This week, Jason Sheridan sticks around and we talk about a very strange house.
Plus, we happen upon a truly terrifying artifact of British culture that none of us had ever heard of. It's a real can of worms. Also, our main episodes are on the same RSS feed as our bonus episodes if you subscribe to our Patreon, and you'll get those ad-free. So check that out, patreon.com/whatatimepod. Number 4?
Let's do it.
Number 4.
Number 4 comes to us from Hambo in the Discord, and this is a fun story, I think. It's a story about Splash. He's an otter in Arizona, so I imagine not naturally occurring, but he's being trained to sniff out evidence and victims underwater, and he's already helping solve crimes. So this kind of matches my personal experience. Having Whitney got me, we went swimming with the otters for my 40th birthday in like a little above ground pool at like a place in Delaware. But there were two of them. They were rolling around and fighting each other and biting each other and stuff. And they were brothers. And I was like, these are just like dogs in the water. And apparently otters, they're believed to be the only mammals that can detect scents underwater. So they really are like dogs in the sense that they can like sniff stuff out, and kind of, look for, I guess, drugs or victims. So
Yeah.
I get it, but it's funny to just keep calling them victims.
Well, I don't know.
They could sniff out people, and the people underwater would be victims. But it's like they have a special sense of smell for victims.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's somebody's clothes or whatever, right? I don't know.
Sure, yeah. No, I get it. It's just, I don't know. That's a funny, linguistic construction to me.
I'm just reading from the thing, but yeah, this is not, to be clear, this is not a police department, which is good because I don't think that would really make sense. There are probably better things they could use their near infinite resources on.
Yeah, that's the thing is why not use it on this? It's either this or fucking military equipment.
That's true.
So,
but it is or at least they're not getting like a $10 million federal grant for it. Put it that way.
Sure.
Unfortunately, Officer Curbstomp has opened fire on the otters. They resemble dogs, so their natural instinct was to immediately go for a firearm.
Right. The otter trained by the police has to account for its Iron Cross tattoo. That is not clear why it has it. So
it joined the sheriff's department gang. It's their mascot now.
Yeah. So this is a search and rescue, like a diver, I don't know what you'd call them, I guess a company.
Yeah, like those guys on. Have you seen those guys on YouTube that pull cars out of bodies of water and stuff?
Yes, like that, or I was gonna say 13 Lives, like the Thai caves, like those guys, kind of freelance.
They should have sent an otter in there just to hang out with them for morale
with the kids. Yeah, that would. Yeah, who wouldn't like that?
They'd probably have to eat him, but for a while he'd be
good luck
a good friend.
Trying to catch him is what I would guess.
Get him, yeah.
They're pretty oily and they move fast. So, but anyway, so they're believed to be the only mammals that can smell underwater. So, this guy, the diver, is like, I read an article that said they can smell underwater. So why can't we get these guys to work for us? And that's that's an amazing mind to just be like, you know what? Let's just get an otter and get him in there. See if we can get it. Fair enough, man. I mean, because they have trained them for other purposes, right? Just for entertainment, basically. So it's okay, well, this animal is trainable. They're trained to let people like me hold their little hands, and
right?
And it's nice. They have little hands, and you can hold them.
That's when they find the victim. They just hold the victim's hand.
Yeah.
Until someone comes for help.
Apparently they don't smell water. They smell their own breath. So they shoot a bubble out and then pull it back in. And I guess that's how they smell. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So yeah, I guess I don't know how he's still training him, I guess, in his pool, which I think is funny. But he's already.
That's one of those things where if it works out, awesome. If it doesn't work out, no one respects you. You're just a guy swimming around with his otter in the pool being like, no, this is a business. This is a business idea.
Okay,
just getting nipped a dozen times a day. He's like, no, this is going to pay off.
Yeah, I'm just imagining his wife going out there and being like, you're still doing this? All right. Okay.
Well, apparently the otter is Splash is from Florida. So he went from Florida to Arizona. So he's kind of hitting all the snowbird spots from various places.
He's on the Trump train.
Snowbird / insane politics places. And but he was donated to this search and rescue, and recently at an active scene, he was the guy, what's his name, Mike Hadsell, was persuaded to put Splash in the water by searchers. I guess they're not police because they say searchers. So they dropped him in the water. He sniffed out the scent and went down to it, threw a marker, and the diver went in, and there it was. So he's trained to apparently leave some kind of mark or something too. So
threw a marker.
Yeah,
wow.
so
he's shot ink. That's what happened.
They trained him to shoot ink. They implanted a gland that he did not have, and
yeah. No,
he goes to the bathroom down there. No,
I'm imagining that's probably the marker.
I don't know, because the otters that we saw, they went to the bathroom above, out of water
on land.
They had a little spot. They both had a little spot they went to. So
they're pretty clean, right?
Yeah,
if I remember right.
I think so. So good for him. I say he's helping people out. Hopefully,
Did
he's
you see
not.
that video of the people on the dock that the otter was like basically herding? Did you see that?
I don't.
It was like these people, they were swimming on a dock and an otter kept getting up on the dock and they would like jump off and try to swim away, and then the otter would follow them and they'd go back to the dock.
Hell yeah, dude.
It was cute.
Wow.
It was cute. But I don't know why these people were afraid of an otter.
Well,
I guess it's a wild animal. It has sharp teeth.
There's two sides to the coin, right? Because there was another story that was in the thing that's not really funny so much, maybe, but I put it in because it is interesting that because there are otters in like Singapore, I think there's just like otters in canals where people like walk and stuff. And there was a jogger who got like attacked by a gang of otters, like little bites and scratches and stuff. So like,
damn,
yeah,
all those nips.
And presumably you got to worry about infection there. So there's good otter, there's good and evil, and Splash is one of the good guys. It sounds like. So I say,
Patty, I believe we both follow the Instagram account of the Good Otter and Bad Otter of the week.
Yes, of course. Yes, exactly.
I mean, if you're putting Halloumi in there trying to find something, he's just going to cause a mess. He's just going to cause a ruckus. Is he a
perennial winner of Bad Otter of the Week?
Yes,
Halloumi?
she is like, yeah, she's like usually, she's, the account is an Instagram account. It's Dartmoor, DARTMOOR _otters _butterflies. It's a sanctuary in, I assume it's got to be the UK because it's a place called Buckfastleigh. I don't know.
That is incredibly UK coded.
But they do their rundown of good otter and bad otter, and Halloumi is routinely. What does she do?
What kind of crimes is Halloumi committing?
She steals other otters' treats and fish. A lot.
I'll pull up the most recent one and see. So Peggy is a good otter for continuing to show off her excellent manners and being extra polite while being hand fed. So kudos to Peggy. Naughty Otters is Willow's whole family, and there's like 10 otters in this picture.
Whole family
for tormenting
on
the second wild frog in 2 weeks and leaving him upside down on the side of the pool for everyone to see.
Humiliating him.
Yeah. Okay. I got one though. This is September 1, 2 weeks ago. That was last week's. The good otters were Pepper and Hercules for displaying impressive manners and waiting patiently on top of their tunnel for food without screaming, which is a big. And then Halloumi is the naughty otter 2 weeks ago for throwing her good manners away and stealing the best pieces of trout from the bowl behind my back. So you got to watch out for Halloumi. Halloumi has been the good otter. I've seen it, but it is rare. So
it's rare. Yeah,
she's a scamp. She got to get that good trout.
Halloumi is sent out on a search and rescue mission, and then somehow more people go missing.
Yeah, there's a lot of otters at this place because there's every time I look at one of these good and bad, there's like a name I don't recognize. So definitely check these guys out. It's a butterfly farm and otter sanctuary, which sounds like pretty much the most adorable place conceivable.
Heaven. That's heaven. Yeah.
So check it out, Dartmoor. And like I said, kudos to Splash. Keep it up, buddy.
Number 3. Number 3 comes to us from no one, I think. I don't know. Is it Patty? Was this from you?
It just appeared in the document mysteriously.
Well, that would make sense considering what it's about, which is a famous magic man, a famous wizard. This is okay.
That's right. David Copperfield is back in the news.
Oh, no.
We have to issue an alert. Chris Angel is at it again. No, this is
two other obsessions on Podcast The Ride.
That's
Chris
correct.
Angel and David Copperfield's pretty wild Vegas residency.
together.
No.
Okay, separate.
They
I'd
are at
imagine they're
different
rivals,
casinos.
not allies.
Kinda. I think so. It seems like there's at least friendly rivalry between
they're
the
peers.
musicians. Yes, they're peers. Copperfield obviously started first, but Copperfield's show, I don't even want to give it away, but animatronic aliens are involved, and of course his relationship with his father, like all good magic shows.
Yeah, of course. I mean, given who gets into magic, I know there's a lot of overlap with comedians, so that doesn't surprise me too much.
Yeah.
There's some dad issues.
What was the big like the last Chris Angel? I can't remember the name, but it's like been scrubbed from his Wikipedia. The one where he like burns the house. Jason,
His last residency show.
One of his last stage shows. Like it was like it started with an A, maybe I can't remember, but it was like.
I should know this because it
was like a Mystica or something.
Yeah, it's a Mystica
or something like that. Yeah,
And he burns a house?
Well, it was a show that would air after his main or not air. It would go up like an hour after his main show, and the promotion
after
was
hours.
very much, it was very much like, is Chris Angel in this show? It's unclear. And a bunch of comedians, Scott Gardner from a Podcast Ride, and John Daly, and Jace Wilner, and Nathan Field, a big group of people went to go see this show. And their big takeaway happened when they just started, a bunch of fans started blowing basically garbage into the crowd.
It's immersive.
Yeah, it is immersive, and it did not last terribly long.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure it does not appear. It's not, the word Mystica is not found on his Wikipedia page, so
Yeah.
he is locking that down. He has no.
And then the director, Franco Gergoni, one of the big early Cirque du Soleil creator-director types, he passed away. So then it's like, well, in Mystica, they're not going to keep doing it if one of the main creative voices are gone.
Right.
There was always cheap tickets. There was always empty seats. It seems like the main show is usually, booked, but like Mystica was not well received.
Well, this is a guy, we're talking about a guy who, I didn't realize this, also kind of not well received later in his life. We're talking about Merlin, really the original David Copperfield here. Merlin, his Vegas residency, one to be seen. So this is funny to me. It's the New York Post, and the title, the subgenre of New York Post articles it's under is called Weird But True, which I feel like is a stretch, I think,
Yes.
about Merlin. But they think they found his grave. They think they found like the real guy is
The Shroud of Merlin.
Yeah.
Good news, everyone. We found Merlin's grave.
We dug his ass up.
Dug his ass up.
Got that big long beard and everything.
The beard has kept growing. That's how we know it's him. He's magic.
We have exhumed Merlin and are giving, the Undertaker is going to give him a tombstone pile driver.
We're making sure his ass is dead.
So I guess there's like this, there's a manuscript. There's always a manuscript when we're talking about this time period.
I wish we had manuscripts, man. This country's too young. We don't have any, you know what I mean?
It's
like,
true.
we don't have, and
well,
obviously
they had Aztec ones. But then the Spanish colonists destroyed them all.
Of course, I should say there's tons of history that we just sort of don't acknowledge or play any right.
Not a lot of paper stuff though. Like I think that was unusual. But yeah, whatever was there, we fucked it up. But this one, it's Vita Merlini Silvestris, The Life of Merlin of the Forest. It's supposed to be a medieval contemporary manuscript of his life. And they say that he was buried in this by the River Tweed in Scotland. And they found this like gravesite that was contemporary with, like it said where he was buried, and they found a gravesite there from that same time period. So they're like, whatever this guy is, like, this is probably him, you know? So I guess it's near Glasgow, and there's a really disrespectful paragraph here at the end that I think is very funny. Okay, so first of all, they qualified, obviously. They say the new archaeological evidence does not prove that the local story was true, but instead demonstrates that the legend likely originated in Drummelzir itself, which is the town that it's in, rather than being brought here by a wandering storyteller who roped in various random sites in the vicinity. So, local legend type stuff.
And that's a very smart way to look at this. Like, there's a thing that like back, it's not like this proves the story. No, like think about it the other way. Like we that's.
But New York Post is like, fuck that, weird but true. That's
but
what
does
we're going
it prove
with.
the story? I don't know.
But this is really rude to me. So the last paragraph in here says, the discovery helps to paint a much darker picture of the wise and revered Arthurian figure, that of a rather pitiful fellow prone to uttering nonsensical riddles and bewildering prophecies, and kept prisoner by an obscure petty tyrant of a forgotten kingdom before dying a gruesome death, the victim of royal intrigue. So... Bummer for Merlin.
Also, like taking some shots at Arthur there. It sounds like, jeez.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, this is shattering everything I knew about the Round Table.
Right?
Or I mean, does it even mention the Transformers? Because I mean, that's a key part of Merlin that I know. Stanley Tucci, who was drunk all the time, the Merlin, and he met the dinosaur Transformers or dragon Transformers, excuse me, and that's a key part of the myth.
That should have been included in this New York Post article because it would be about as factual as saying they found Merlin's grave.
Right.
So.
Stanley Tucci, that's why he's always drinking bagged Chinese milk. He's got to sober up. He's trying to get some protein to shake off the booze.
Man, we've talked about it.
Help me, I'm disoriented. I don't know where I am. Oh, wait. We're in the laugh zone.
The laugh zone. There we are.
The laugh zone.
Yeah. So, wow. I mean, Merlin probably real now. Just
probably real.
Probably
I guess
real.
It's unclear to me. Like, I didn't realize he was imprisoned at the end of his life. It's unclear whether King Arthur imprisoned him. I don't know the myths that well.
I mean, was Merlin kind of a trusted vizier situation? Is this one of those?
He was an advisor in the myths.
You can't trust these guys.
Yeah, he was a real Rasputin type guy, I think.
Man, these guys. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Anybody with a long beard who's advising you, that guy's going to end up imprisoned somewhere.
He's got
I'm starting to worry that all my trusted viziers are maybe not the most trustworthy.
Are they potentially? You'd never scheme against me. There would be no. Of course,
you guys don't plot, right?
You wouldn't dare use my shortcomings that only you know of against me.
Of course not. So yeah, man. The picture in here is like a real bummer. It's just like a big mound of dirt. So they were like, we looked in this mound of dirt, and lo and behold, a guy. So pretty exciting stuff.
The takeaway is that sloppy Merlin is no longer hot.
Right. Right. Merlin was fired like a dog. So-called wizard, scare quotes, Merlin, lion Merlin, etc.
Nipples protruding.
Very disrespectful.
So the comments here are really good. The first one, okay, so Sam Dracula, really good name for a New York Post commenter, says, If so, we sure could use his help right now. It's like, is he going to come back? Is he going to join the debates?
Right. Which side do we, who is we? Like, which side do we want him to be on here? Which campaign is he joining?
He's actually going to become Secretary of State. People don't realize when he comes back.
Also, is that just misdirection? I feel like Dracula would be feuding with Merlin. I feel like he would not want competition for powers.
Maybe he's bored and he wants like a worthy foe.
Keep it to yourself.
Oh, that's good.
Dracula. I don't like we're going to listen to you.
This is another good one, and then we can move on. This is from SOTX Joe. It says, loving all the commenters who claim to know for a fact that it's Merlin. It's not Merlin. Merlin never existed. I doubt we'll never know for sure. Really good malapropism there.
Yeah.
But based on archaeological finds from digs in biblical areas, people should have learned already to tread lightly when claiming historical events or places never existed. So it's like, which one he keeps contradicting himself. He's like, you claim to know it's that, but like it probably is, because it is sometimes. It's like, cool. Thanks, man.
This also feels like it's Dracula making trouble. Like,
I mean, so is this guy like? I mean, if you're like believing all the biblical stuff is real, shouldn't you be like, these are all frauds? Like all these other people that have magic, wouldn't you want them to all not be real?
Isn't this like a heretic? Like, I don't know how Christianity accounts for magic. It is like generally the work of the devil, right?
I assume
that's who does magic.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I don't know.
But it is real in that construction.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just Satan stuff.
What we need to ask is which portrayal of Merlin is the most realistic? That's what we need to find out. You know.
Yeah.
And my money's on Stanley Tucci with the Transformers. But remember that King Arthur movie with Clive Owen? That was I was like, what if he was like a Roman general and then he became a king at the end of the movie? It's like, yeah, we don't need the gritty kind of. They were
gritty reboot.
They were trying to do it, but that was early. It was early too. It was before all that stuff, so they really got ahead of the curve on that. Anyway,
Number two
is comes to us from, I think this was me as well. It's a story about a little guy who was running around and they got him and he's safe.
His name was Eli.
He's running around. So this is this has been I don't know how this is not breaking news. I wasn't getting push notifications about this. But there is a Jack Russell Terrier who is named Monkey, who was, I guess he was escaped. I'm not sure exactly what. I guess they knew he was named.
He was on the lam.
His origin is unknown, so I guess they named him Monkey after they got him. He didn't, or they called him Monkey while they were planning on grabbing him. But he was spotted running on the highways near Newark Airport for the past few weeks, which is very dangerous. And the Ramapo Bergen Animal Refuge, they were basically posting about what was going on, and they shared the journey of. There's a professional trapper who eventually caught him. He was freaked out, running around, obviously, not really receptive to being caught, as most dogs are not. Speaking from experience of Liza when she gets a sock, I don't know how I have a lot of respect for, dog catchers in cartoons. Growing up, were very bumble. They had that big net, and they were just bozos. It's like, man, you try to catch a fucking dog, okay?
I feel like the only thing I know, the only thing I know about dog catcher is unpopular people can't get that job.
They can't get elected.
Thing I know about.
Correct.
Yeah,
and I don't know why it's an elected position. Seems like
yeah. That seems like maybe a archaic from a bygone era. Maybe that used to be.
That one can be appointed and serve at the pleasure of the municipal head, I feel like.
Right.
But so they hired, I guess, professional trapper from Buddha Dog Rescue and Recovery. That's the other thing. I think these have all been outsourced to private companies now. I don't even know if there are. There's animal control, but a dog catcher per se.
No one could get elected to it, so they had to contract it out to private.
That's probably what it is. And this guy, I will say, he's a very cute guy, Monkey. I'll put a link to the Facebook post.
Is this like the dog version of the
chat.
terminal where he's like stuck in the airport and he can't get out because he doesn't have the right papers?
I'm going to have to assume yes, it must be.
Monkey is.
There's no other explanation.
He's just riding the Newark Airport monorail.
Yeah.
People move like on top. He's just riding it over and over. Gets off at the weird Amtrak station that can only be accessed by trains or the monorail.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like, he might have just been taking the normal commute from Newark to the city, which takes weeks. So, he might have just been right on schedule trying to get to Manhattan.
Yeah, it's like, man, Monkey, I got to tell you, buddy, you should just cave, build it into the cost of your travel. You got to just pay for a car. It's not worth it,
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. You got to take New Jersey Transit, then it's just too much.
There's like a obscure private bus company that's all they do, and if you Google them, it looks like they've been closed for 20 years. It's like a haunted ghost bus. What's happening over there?
And no dog's getting on the ghost bus. They know what's going on. They can see things we don't.
They see all the ghosts and they're like, no way, bad vibes.
So Monkey's a wonderful guy. They rescued him, and apparently he was like basically able to like have human touch after like a few minutes. So he and apparently he's not the first Jack Russell Terrier to be dumped in the area in recent months. So somebody's running some kind of mill or something, which sucks, and like getting rid of dogs, which I don't care for that. But he's a nice little guy, and he's safe, and they're socializing him, and I'm sure he's probably going to be adopted soon if he isn't already. Hopefully by a radio host who's about to move to Seattle and start a new life, and
Absolutely,
they're very
make an old man mad.
They are very good, like family dogs. I think they're usually good with children. They're very high energy, so they need to get a lot out. Although I knew someone who had like a pretty old Jack Russell, and that dog would get bursts of energy and then mostly sleep all day. So, but when they're young, they're a little nuts.
Oh yeah, no, that's And
maybe this guy has tired himself out permanently running around on the highway, and he'll be chill.
Yeah,
he certainly, I'm sure, slept quite a bit once he knew he was in a safe place. Because being freaked out will tire you out. But it
would be so jarring to see a dog while you're driving on the highway around Newark Airport. Number one, obviously, because it's a dog. But number two, I did not think that place was hospitable to any form of life.
Right.
Like, I would not. I'd be just as surprised to see like a plant growing there as I would a dog.
No, that's
I would be surprised to see a dog in like The Sopranos opening credits.
Yeah.
Like, even just a picture of a dog. I'm like, no. No thing should live here.
Nothing living is, yeah.
It's such an in between place. You know what I mean? It's a very like it is weird to imagine anything kind of being there permanently. I mean, there's grass, but that feels like about it.
Right, and it's like grass. The soil is like 50% litter somehow.
But like he doesn't look like unhealthily skinny, so he was eating, I guess. I don't know what, but he was taking care of himself.
Mob bodies,
right? And now somebody's got to adopt him and check him out because he's a nice little guy. And
I have had the experience of driving, going like, oh, is that a dog? But the weirdest version of that was once I was driving in Burbank, and just in the middle of the road there was a horse. Because Burbank has this equestrian neighborhood, like right down the street from the Walt Disney Studios. There's lots of stables and horses and stuff. So sometimes you see people on the shoulder just riding a horse. But this was by like just a residential neighborhood, and specifically I was driving by the convenience store that's in the movie Superbad. And so that was on my right, and straight ahead of me there was a guy trying to wrangle a horse and just rolling down the window going like, hey, you okay,
need help,
man? Yeah, and then all these people, we followed it, got out of our car, is trying to help with this massive horse, and then they got a hold of it. It ended up a little down the block, but then they got control of it, and it was just such a surreal, like, you don't expect to just see a horse, you know?
That's one of those things where, like, I would offer help and then pray they didn't ask for it because I have no idea what I can do to be of service in that situation.
Yeah,
that used to happen to me a
More
lot.
like Jason Sharon jokes.
Nice.
What
Jason,
was that? What?
Jason Sharon jokes.
Oh,
I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I think that was it.
Okay.
I'm honored that you custom-made so many of these for me.
I used to see horses a lot when I lived in Austin. I lived on the east side of town, which has now been very gentrified, but was like traditionally kind of it was like a little bit the hood. Like it was a little seedy and a bit run down compared to like the west side of Austin. But that was where people had horses. So you would just see people riding horses in like through like a housing project. It was very surreal, very strange. But I guess you couldn't. They probably had rules that you couldn't keep them in the nice part of town. They were probably like, no thanks.
Yeah, the horses live over there.
I've had the feel like, oh, pull over. There's a dog running. Let's try to get him in a corner. Let's help. But when it was a horse, that was it's so large.
So yeah, no, they do what they want. They allow you to wrangle them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, if he doesn't want to come back, he's not coming back. And
No,
certainly
he lives at that convenience store. He's gonna drink a bunch of Goldschlager. That's what he's gonna do at the super bad convenience store.
I'm a nice guy. Yeah, that is that movie holds up, folks. Very funny.
Yeah, I believe it.
Let's see. So Monkey, look, if you're looking for a dog to adopt, I'm sure he's got some even you're in the Jersey area. I'm sure he's got some trust issues, and he's probably got to be a little bit more trained and socialized. But yeah, check him out. Ramapo, what is it again? Ramapo
Buddha something?
No, Ramapo Bergen Animal Refuge, and they're on.
Okay.
Looks like they're on Facebook. They're probably on Instagram and stuff too. If they're yeah,
Frasier fans activate.
right.
Go get this guy.
And just to clarify, the dog was his dad's, not his. I know this. I just wanted to. I was just trying to do shorthand to get the thing across. So back off. Thank you.
Let's do number one.
Ride it, my pony. Listen up.
I got a ride for you, home slice. It's called the election.
Drop that.
And this week's number one reason to say what a time to be alive.
I just need to talk about that drop. I feel like the Fiverr guy didn't know what home slice meant in that context based on how he gave that line read.
Home slice.
Man, this must be an AI voice, maybe? I don't know. Maybe I hope this is a real guy.
I don't think so. It's the inflection is too on the nose. It's like, unless AI.
It's very important for our listeners to know we do not get any advance notice of this, nor do we know how they are produced. We don't know if Shelby is conjuring a spirit to
That's
make
correct.
these. No
Look,
idea.
We can either confirm or deny that that's just what Shelby sounds like.
That's true. That's true. People don't know. It could be him. Could very well be him.
Yeah.
Number one, this is also, I think, from Patty. I did you guys know about Patty? Did you know about this already? Had you heard about this? I had heard about this.
I had not heard about this. No.
Okay. No one. When people talk about their haters, this is like one of the only people who is like allowed to say that and mean it. Because Lady Gaga had haters, capital H haters, and that is what this story is about. When she was at NYU, she went to Tisch. And there was a Facebook group because I think she's like maybe your age, Patty. She might be between us. I think she's a little older than me, maybe a little younger than you.
She's a couple years younger than me, it looks like, yeah.
So this was like when Facebook groups were big. I remember. Do you remember any of the big ones? I remember something like "Make Pluto a Planet Again." That was like a big one.
I think the one. Well, obviously there's I fucking love science.
I fucking love science, of course.
There was one that was like I don't think I ever joined this one, but I think I remember seeing it. It was like I want to punch slow walking people in the back of the head or something. It was something like it was one of those.
Yeah.
Just
it was like a whole sentence.
Yeah.
I remember the phrase slow walking people, definitely. It wasn't slow walkers. It was like the whole thing written out. Yeah, so this was back
secretly.
in the...
I secretly want to punch them. I believe was the full.
Is it still extant? Can you still find?
Oh
it?
no, it is just I want. Never mind. So they're really just out there. Only 3,000 likes, but
Wow.
it hasn't been updated in a long time. It looks like so.
I feel like this was an era when you would just, if there was an inside joke between you and your friends, you'd make a Facebook group and invite like 5 people.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it would just rot. It was just nothing.
I definitely am in like the remnants of a couple of those. This was also like the go-to spot for local comedy scene shit talking.
Yes.
That was like a very active Facebook group I was in of like comics of a certain cohort being just absolutely vicious to people who were not in that group. That was very common.
I was very excited about getting into some of the comedy ones. I remember because it was like
it was a big
Yeah.
deal for sure.
Okay, so now I want to just be clear. The group was secretly because I found a Wall Street Journal article about it, which I found through a Fark.com link. So that's kind of
Wow.
Whoa.
just Googling this. So that's how we do it. And apparently in 2011, this had 15,000 members. But the last post in the I want to punch one that I just found is Lakers or Celtics. Personally, I don't like either. So this is kind of a good monument to what Facebook kind of is now. The first comment that shows up is, I'm making over $7,000 a month working part-time. I kept hearing other people tell me. So that's just kind of what, that's what Facebook is now. So
Great.
Like an abandoned mall.
Yeah, very much like an abandoned mall. Well, back in the day, this was, again, we were talking about a lot of times it would be a sort of inside joke between people. And so Lady Gaga, her real name is Stephanie Germanotta, and her NYU classmates had a Facebook group called Stephanie Germanotta, You Will Never Be Famous. So just right out there with it. Fuck you. Fuck your ambitions. You're a loser wannabe. And this New York Post article is basically just like, man, she sure showed them, right? Like, fuck those people.
Talk about showing them all. Like,
yeah,
you get this Facebook group like owning your ass, and then you become one of the most famous people in the world.
Yeah, it's funny because like I feel like I knew a couple people in college who were sort of like her, like from what I know about her sort of early career, because like she was like a real theater type.
Yes.
And if you're not famous and you're one of those people, you can really great. But like that is who becomes famous, is people who are putting that much dedication into like building their own sort of career. And when you start, it seems pathetic because you don't have any fans. But like you have to do that. And then it's almost like the otter training guy. It's like if this works out, then it's great. And if it doesn't work out, you seem like a loser.
And yeah, I mean, if you're doing this, like you're just gambling on the very likely you have good odds in your favor that this person will not become one of the most famous, like an EGOT person, basically.
Right.
And
although I feel like at Tisch, it's like a crapshoot.
It's a little riskier at Tisch, yes, than
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle of nowhere or something. But like, it like you really just want, like, she like gets a Facebook account or uses her official account to like join and just drop like one question mark comment in the group, and then
yeah, that'd be sick.
It's like, hey, I'm gonna blow up all your houses and nothing will happen to me. Like,
I'm gonna send my people and you'll never trace it back to me, even with this Facebook comment.
I have access to nanobot technology that is untraceable, that no one has heard about.
I'm injecting a prion into your brain while you sleep. I can do that.
I will never tell you the antidote.
Yeah, this is like so fucking crazy too, because like they just fully made this public group. Like this wasn't a, like we were saying, sort of an inside jokey like secret, because you could make them secret. Nope, just out in the open. We don't like you. To be fair, it had like a dozen people in it. It's not like it was like hundreds of. It was just some mean people. But yeah, I knew about this because there were like screenshots of it after she became famous. It was just like, yeah, fuck these people. It had 12 members, and she just says, Success is the best revenge. She said she was bullied in high school and college. She said, being bullied has taught me the importance of kindness because it is something that can be fixed. So, yeah, good for her. These people should have to. It's a real
they should have to tell everyone what they
Spring thing.
What they
it's
do.
Like the sound of my voice will haunt you.
Right.
You are gonna be reminded of this every day of your life.
They should all have to submit to an interview and have an article written about them. What's up? What do you got going on?
Yeah, how's your life after going to Tish and not becoming famous? I bet that doesn't eat at you every day of your life. Sure.
I bet you haven't been thinking about this in your darkest, deepest, darkest heart. Oh God, what if she, and then here it is. She knew about it.
Yep. This is, people are really fucking mean, and Facebook really could be a wonderful engine for bullying. I was definitely part of some groups that were extremely mean, but they were all secret at least, but.
Yeah.
No,
there was a whole ecosystem around, I remember in the early 2010s maybe or the late aughts around Julia Allison, who was
yes, that's the thing is if Lady Gaga didn't become famous, she would it would be like Julia Allison, which was so mean.
What if there was one person from the group who's well, Lady Gaga is famous, Stephanie Germanotta. Shit,
she doesn't even go by that name for her acting stuff. No one knows.
Yeah,
her.
That's you know what. So we were right, and just
maybe she did that for SEO reasons. She was I don't want people to find this Facebook group.
we can't offer her this thing. No good. No record deal. No record
The will
deal.
of the people have spoken. She will never be famous.
This is bad press. But yeah, there was a whole blog that was about her blog, or there was it was a lot of stuff, and she was just a person of some interest because she went to college with me. Not that I knew her or anything. I think I met her once, but she was on the newspaper, and it was watching her.
I mean, she was doing a lot of she was very her main sin was that she was a little media hungry, which is that's how you become successful in that field.
And she seems to have been moderately successful in all that. So and then she went away, which is the real success, I guess. So.
Yeah.
I faintly remember in 2008, 2009, knowing a couple of people who went to Tish. She was around. She was doing performance art stuff. She was in the scene,
Yeah. No, I don't care for Lady Gaga's music, but she seems like a cool person. I don't know. I just remember that interview she gave because there were all those rumors about her having a penis. And instead of being no, I don't have a penis, she was so fucking what if I have a penis? In 2009, she was why does this matter? This is stupid. You're being gross. And I was just that's cool. You're a cool person. I like you.
Yeah.
Big up to Lady Gaga.
Yeah, music's pretty good. She's a fun actress to watch, we'll say.
I think the only movie I've actually seen of hers is the Gucci movie,
right?
Which she was good in.
I was gonna say that was that's really over the top. I mean, Star is Born is really good, and she's really good in it, I should say. But I'm sure Joker 2 is going to be great. It looks great.
Someone tweeted about how it's they're saying is it's not a comedy and it's not a musical. So it's great. Then we definitely know what it is.
Yep.
Awesome.
Joker 2 comes out on my birthday,
Hell
and
yeah.
I'm I don't want to read Joker stuff. I don't want to deal with the Joker media cycle around my birthday.
It feels like it could never top the last one when it was they were worried they're going to have to put a cop in every movie theater that was showing.
Right,
it.
yeah. They thought it was going to incite a gender war or something. Good
it's
stuff.
No, that'll just happen sort of in national politics, not in individual movie theaters. So all set.
Yeah, it's not because of the Joker. It's for other reasons, really.
But yeah, so she got her revenge just by a true although she, in a lot of ways, for the meanest people, the fact that she mentioned it is probably aha, we did get under her skin.
Got her.
Yeah. As opposed to she can't hit the I don't think about you at all on them, unfortunately.
Yeah. But pretty easy. If you really want to get under someone's skin, it's pretty easy. You just have to completely throw all of your own personal dignity and integrity out the window.
Right.
And then it's congrats, you did it. Good job.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Unfurling the banner.
All it cost you was your fucking soul. Get on the prayer app. It's over for you.
best of luck to Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna do it. She's gonna be
gonna be
just
all right.
fine.
Yeah.
So
Plugs time?
let's do some plugs.
Plugs.
Become a subscriber at patreon.com/whatatimepod for weekly bonus episodes and much more. And head to whatatimepod.com/links for our merch store, Discord, and more. Follow Patty, Kath, and Eli on Twitter and Instagram at PattyMo, at Kath Barbadoro, and at Eli Uden. And check out Kath's other podcasts, Lie, Cheat, and Steal, about liars, frauds, thieves, and bullshitters, wherever you get your podcasts. Here's where you can see us doing stand-up this week.
Jason, what do you got?
Well, check out Podcast The Ride wherever you get your podcasts. I think the most recent episode we just put out is about the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh ride, a perfectly nice Disney dark ride, maligned because it replaced Country Bear Jamboree in Disneyland and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride at Disney World. So lots of discussion about that. And you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/podcast the ride. And check out the wonderful What a Time to Be Alive podcast, which hopefully you have listened to this show to get to this plug for.
DJ, wow, what a great episode. Let us get some immense praise going via quote tweet immediately.
You know what it is. Yeah.
Wow. Yes, please. I like the idea that someone skipped ahead to the plugs. They're like, I'm going to listen to my favorite part first.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh,
Yeah.
episode was recommended. Come to, if you are a longtime listener of the show, you will have heard me talk about Master Pancake, which is the movie mocking show I do most of the time in Austin, but we are doing shows in New York City. I'm really excited about it. They're at the Alamo Drafthouse downtown Brooklyn. September 23rd at 9:30, we're doing Cruel Intentions, which is a show we wrote in the winter of this year. It's great. It's really funny. And then the 24th at 6:30 p.m., we're doing a choose your own. So bring your own Blu-ray, and then the audience will vote on what we watch, and then we will spontaneously come up with some riffs for it. And Eli is going to be on that show. So it's a 2/3, 2/4 What a Time Pod Master Pancake. So please buy tickets to that. It's going to be really fun.
If he gets out of hospital before that.
If he's out of hospital in time. Yes.
Yeah, I got nothing. So listen to Podcast The Ride. I'm a Club 3 member, and it's one of like 2 podcasts that I keep up with because I have too many that I just let go and go and go. So yes,
I hear that. Hey, this is the first podcast I listen to every Monday.
Aw, thanks.
Unless it was an unless batting around was quicker to put theirs out, and it was an exciting baseball weekend because I'm on my way to becoming a real baseball sicko.
There we go.
that-
And
yeah.
good season for it for you. So there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us. And stay cool
See you
out
next
there.
week. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Keep it crispy.
Keep it.
Keep it crispy, y'all.